Edit title: A for not telling a guy what I do for work and letting him pay for my drinks during the whole evening. My friend Grace invited me to a board game bar to play and have drinks with her boyfriend and one of their friends Nick. We went to get drinks in pairs, Grace going with her boyfriend. Meanwhile Nick and I stayed at the table and vice versa. So Nick and I had plenty of time to talk, just the two of us. Nick started the night by telling about his recent career change. He decided to quit his previous job, go to a coding boot camp, and he got a job as a developer 1 or 2 months ago. He was very proud of himself and his new salary and told me this multiple times. He never asked me what I do for work, but talked about his new job quite a lot, occasionally saying sorry, you don't understand that, haha. During the entire evening, I never told him I has been working as a software engineer for the past 4 years, because he never asked, and honestly, I found it a bit entertaining. When it came to the drinks, he invited me to every single one. Don't worry about it, it's not a problem with my developer salary. I told him multiple times he doesn't have to pay for me, but he insisted. At the end of the night, when we were saying our goodbyes, he took out his phone to send me a friend request on Facebook. My job is listed in my profile, so that was when he realized that I'm software engineer. He asked me if it's true that I'm a software engineer and I answered yes. He asked me why I haven't told him. Why did I let him believe I was a cashier like Grace used to be? I never implied that. And why did I let him pay for everything when I probably earn more than him? I told him that he never once asked, and it was his fault. He assumed he could have simply asked me about my job, but he only wanted to brag about his. But if he wants me to, I can pay him back for the drinks. He was angry and said I made a fool out of him. I think he did that, not me. But now Grace and her boyfriend are on his side too, saying that it would cost me nothing to tell him early in the evening and I only kept it for myself for my own entertainment. Well, I did find it entertaining, but I don't really feel like I did anything wrong. Eta? Nick was bragging. You played along with it. It probably never occurred to him that women can be software engineers. It was probably quite entertaining, although you probably wouldn't want him as a boyfriend. NTA. This, as a composer who's doing reasonably well in the field, I'm also a woman, and I'm fairly young. I've had my fair share of men who assume they've done more things in the music industry than I have. NTA. He wanted to flaunt his career and money, but it backfired because he never bothered to ask about you. If they were talking for several hours and he never asked up about their job, it's a huge red flag. He never asked me what I do for work, but talked about his new job quite a lot, occasionally saying sorry, you don't understand that, haha. This, right here. NTA. NTA. As a fellow female software engineer, I know what this is like, and I would have done the same. I have sat and listened to men brag about what they do, and how much they make, and offer to buy me drinks at events we are at. I'm married, my husband is there with me, they still do it. He laughs and lets them pay. When they bring up how much they make, we live in a fairly low median income area. It's usually well below what I make. Haven't had anyone make more, or even close yet. My husband will chime in and call me his sugar mama, which is hilarious. Frankly, if their self-worth is based on their job and they didn't ask about yours, I also would tell them if they asked. They never do, then they deserved it. NTA. He wanted to brag, and he was a bit sexist. He deserved this lesson. Not only a bit sexist, he was in full alpha male, telling the weak simple woman how it is mode, not asking her a single question. Because, why would a woman be any interesting? Not only are you NTA, you're an absolute fucking legend. Edit. Holy shitballs guys, thanks for the awards. I'll put this clown in his place without even saying a single word. Iconic, honestly. NTA 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 NTA. As a female software engineer myself, I love this so much. Would love to do this to all of the men who are always surprised that I'm a software engineer. As much as I didn't agree with you, I'm also really disheartened. I spent 25 plus years as id security for financially based companies and was literally one of the first women in both it and security in my state, US. I thought I was tearing down social norms and paving the way for the next generation. To hear you all are still going through exactly the same garbage makes me very sad and more than a little angry. NTA, keep on killing it ladies. It's got to eventually get better, right? NTA. He never asked me what I do for work, but talked about his new job quite a lot, occasionally saying sorry, you don't understand that, haha. Yikes. He asked me if it's true that I'm a software engineer and I answered yes. He asked me why I haven't told him. Why did I let him believe I was a cashier like Grace used to be? I never implied that. And why did I let him pay for everything when I probably earn more than him? I love it when the trash takes itself out. I bet he expected sex from you after paying for the drinks. Exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark. That might explain why he was so upset. Once he realized she wasn't some desperate girl he knew he wasn't getting any further. NTA. I have a few narcissistic relatives like him. They will never ask about anyone else. They may politely wait through you volunteering information, but they won't ask because they don't care. Last month I called my cousin to tell him that my mom had passed, his favorite aunt, according to him. He asked 0 questions about her passing. Instead, he spent the entire call ranting about the government screwing him over and withholding his cover check for no reason. Some people are so narcissistic, they don't even know they are supposed to, at least, feign interest in others. They can't even fake it. Don't worry about your friends. They should count themselves lucky you were amused by his total lack of interest instead of being angry/pissed off by his narcissistic misogynistic BS. This sounds exactly like my brother. He called me on my birthday last year, spoke about himself for an hour, and got mad when I finally told him I had enough and hung up. Never even asked how I was or what I was doing. NTA in his mind, he's on a pedestal higher than everyone he knows and got pissed once he found out you're on a higher one. He insisted on buying you the drinks and you even offered to pay him back after the fact. You're not obligated to tell him anything, and you weren't keeping him a secret. He would found out your job had he hopped off his ego trip for a second, show some interest in you, and let you speak. NTA. He assumed things and made a fool of himself. NTA. Had you mentioned your job after his bragging he likely would have had an issue with that too, since you were stealing his thunder. No win situation and definitely not someone you want to be in a relationship with. Insecurity at its finest. He would skulked off to find another woman to brag to in the place. NTA. Kinda hard to tell someone about your career when they never shut up and acting like you don't understand. So what if you were a cashier? Does he think people only code for jobs? So you expect men to be mind readers and just know that you work in the field they are bragging about just recently getting into and have enough money to pay for your own drinks so they don't need to /s. NTA. If he cared slightly he would have asked. I've asked people what they do for work while I rode the chairlift at a ski resort. He was embarrassed he was making a fool of himself the whole night and wanted to take it out on you. You had me in the first half. NTA. Don't listen to his flying monkeys. Nick made a fool of himself. Sounds like he is ashamed he embarrassed the hell out of himself and now he's raging at you. None of this is your problem. Continue laughing at him forever. I certainly will be. NTA. So, he never once asked what you did and just assumed you knew nothing about computing and then you're supposedly the asshole because he didn't know. That. Mate, he didn't know because he chose to remain an ignoramus. It's not like you didn't offer to pay for drinks or were evasive with your responses. He literally never bothered to ask you a simple question. The drinks were just asshole tax him and tell your mates to get a grip too. Exactly. It takes less than 5 seconds to say the word so what do you do for work? Anyone that can spend an entire evening talking about themselves and what they do for work without even pausing for a moment to ask that question deserves to be humiliated. A fool and his money are soon parted. NTA. Came to say this. NTA and Nick is a prick. NTA. He wanted to brag and show off his wealth, so you let him. NTA. Why would he assume that you had the same job as Grace? I'm assuming Grace isn't a cashier anymore, and he just got a new job, so he's familiar with the concept of changing careers. Let them all be angry. Hopefully it stops them from setting you up with condescending, self-involved hours in the future. How hard is it to ask so? What do you do? Even if he already thought he knew. This is really funny. LMAO your NTA. He's self-absorbed and is just mad cause he got confronted with that fact. NTA. Not only did he not ask you about your job, he talked all evening about things he literally told you he didn't expect you to understand. What did he think you were getting out of the conversation? He wasn't trying to interest or engage you, he was trying to impress on you how superior he is. You were supposed to be sitting there with no idea what he was talking about, so you would only be able to marvel at his incredible genius and earning potential. He filled in your half of the conversation by saying the equivalent of "don't worry, I know you have nothing to add," and went on happily monologuing to himself without even waiting to hear your real opinion about what *he* was saying, let alone ask you about yourself, or give you the chance to introduce a topic *you are interested in. Title should be "Dude schools himself and is now mad at me 100% NTA. I work in it, and I can't tell you the number of times a man has acted sort of shocked or surprised by that. Odds are if you had told him early on he still would mansplained coding to you the rest of the night, so what's a girl to do? This is all too common on dates, and don't not all men me. Obviously this isn't an absolute. There was a funny clip floating around where two people were interviewed after a first date. The guy said it went so well, and he really liked her. The interviewer then asked basic first date questions to him. Wonderful. What does she do for work? Oh, I'm not sure. Does she have siblings? Favorite color? Favorite music? I don't know. Girl, you literally didn't ask anything about me and just kept talking. NTA. NTA. Nick now knows how much his ego costs. He assumed your job title. He insisted on buying you drink. He is the one who never asked about what you do. It is 100% on him. NTA. NTA. You emasculated him just by adding him to your social media. I love this for you. NTA. And I love when the trash takes itself out. It's always nice when you see their true selves on the very first meeting. Why should your salary change him buying you drinks? He wanted to, and so what? If you make more than him, he upgraded himself and has a better salary. He should be proud of that. Instead of seeing you and your career as inspiration for what could come next, he got salty about his own place in life and immediately bitter. It has nothing to do with you to even make you question if you were the R or not. If he cared about your job, he'd have asked you about it. You served him the slice of humble pie he needed. NTA. And he should write you a thank you for the life lesson. NTA. You were put in a no-win situation. And why couldn't Grace and or her boyfriend tell Nick what you do for a living prior to the date? NTA. This guy wasn't interested in a relationship, at the very least not as equals. How the hell do you brag about your job for hours, insist on paying for everything for someone, and not asking the basic questions? What do you do for work? What are your hobbies? Where did you grow up? These give you the basics to find common ground and connect. Sounds like Nick was inky looking for a hookup because he viewed up as Grace's friend, and Grace can't know anyone worthy of more attention from him than that. Because Grace was a cashier, here's hoping Op ends up on the hiring panel when Nick tries to get hired at her work.